Hello there, and welcome back to Harmonica Lessons for All podcast. My name is Mateus Verdino, and I'll be your host. So, on this podcast, I just want to expand on the idea of the chord grooves and rhythms we can explore over the diatonic harmonica. Just to remind you, though, last podcast on rhythms, we started just by achieving a nice round full chord sound in which you have the 1, 2, and 3 holes sounding as even as possible. So what we are doing now is exploring the harp in another key, So we are using a C harp, but we are exploring the chords on the key of G. If you remember last podcast, we call the keys we explore over the diatonic harmonica are called positions. So first position being the key of the harp, and the second, third, and fourth, and so on. These other positions, they are defined by the cycle of fifths, which means you get the key of the harp and you count 3 whole steps and a half, and you have the second key that you can play on. So in the harp or the key of C, 3 steps and a half, 3 whole steps and a half up, you have G. Another 3 whole steps and a half up, you have D, and so on to A, E. Right now, we are just working rhythms. It's a fun way of getting a hold of some basic knowledge about the diatonic harp. It's different from the single note. It is actually the opposite. So you have 2 things to balance. One thing is try to get the nice embouchure, which we had explained on the first podcasts. And the chord is just a laid back way of just figuring out other muscles you can use. And it's a lot of fun once you get a hold of the technique. So without taking any longer, here we go. I have the tablature. So from now on, what I want to do is I will not use 1, 2, and 3 draw written. I like to use little syllables that if pronounced, produce the desired effect. So for holes 1, 2, and 3, blow or draw together. When you see an A, either with a T or a K, it means to draw 1, 2, and 3 together using that syllable, which means either your tongue will be reaching to the roof of your mouth, like on the ta, or ka, which is with your throat. Whenever you see a O, like tu or ku, this means that you're going to pronounce that little syllable while you're blowing. So A is for draw and O is for blow. I divided the beats, so every groove example has the beats on top, which means everything we're going to do will have 4 beats. So the groove is last podcast was ooh ooh So A O A, which means draw, blow, draw. And now we have a 1 on the, if you see on the beat, just to explain a little bit, you have the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and it starts again. 1 and, which means the number means the downbeat, and the and means the upbeat, because every downbeat here has an upbeat. So which means 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and this and will give us another reference, so we can produce different grooves and different rhythms. So enough talking. Now I just wanted to get a real round sound, and we're going to start practicing those grooves. So 1, 2, 3, draw together, just a little, just so you can tune, you can find yourself over your harp. This is 1, 2, and 3 sounded together when you draw. In blow. It's a relaxed embouchure, but not completely loose. And before we go to the first rhythm, so there are letters, there are little syllables that are positioned on the and or under the number. So let's just sing and then we do it. The first example would be if first let's sing let's say spell out the beat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and ta ka tu ku ta 4 ta ka tu ku ta 4 ta ka tu ku ta 4. So we have a ta on the downbeat, ka on the upbeat, tu on downbeat, ku on the upbeat, ta again on the third beat, and rest on the fourth. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and. So here, very slow, and if we speed up, you have this effect. 1, 2, 3, 4. Of course, you can go a lot faster than that, and that starts to get more fun. But first, you want to get a hold of a nice round sound, and then you slowly increase your speed. So, if I go faster, it will sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. On the next example, the only change would be on the end of the second beat. If you look at the first example and the second, under the end of the second beat, the first is a ku, and on the second example is a ta, which means one is a blow, and now this is a draw one. So if I were to sing the exercise first, would be taka tu taka, taka tu taka, instead of taka tu kuta. So second exercise, if I were to draw as I say the syllables, that would give me the airflow as well, would sound like this. Taka tu taka. Taka tu taka. And you see I'm resting on the fourth beat, and I'm actually blowing the air. That if I have too much air in my lungs is when I balance. Because if you're going through some you get a lot of air in your lungs, you will learn naturally how to control that. What you don't want to do is breathe in through your nose. In my opinion, it's okay to breathe out as long as if you're blowing and breathing out through your nose at the same time, because that helps you to balance the air on your lungs faster. So here we go. Second example, very slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest. As you get faster on this exercise, you might want to change the end of the second beat, which is your ta, and the third beat, which is a ka. You want to invert that. Instead of going ta ka tu ta ka, you go ta ka tu ka ta, which might help you go a little faster. But for now, let's do a little faster with the same syllables. Ta ka tu ta ka. 1, 2, 3, 4. The third exercise example is actually emulating the sound of a train. Uh, not the that's a little further down, but when the train starts to move. So there are two ways of approaching this. To start, I want to start with the syllables T and K. But once it gets really fast, I switch to the ooh. It just goes faster for me. You can get faster and faster and faster with the takatuku. But, it's just the way I like to do it. But let's go slow. Third exercise, train sound. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you start really slow and start increasing speed as you go. That's the way I would ask you to do. Now, there are many combinations you can create with this simple takatuku pattern. The next pattern I want to show you is when we divide each beat in 3 instead of 2. So instead of going 1 and 2 and 3, we are going to use, if I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and so on. So if I were to just clap while I count the beat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. If I were to count to spell out and just clap my hand on the beat, would be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And it gives a different feel. So here is the exercise. First, just saying it out loud. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Taka ta tuku tu taka ta rest. Taka ta tuku tu taka ta rest. So it sounds pretty simple, but if you go a little faster, then you start to get an idea. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that gives a different feel. That's the fourth exercise. The next one, we're going to start to work a different part of the beat. We're going to start the exercise from the end, from the upbeat, and not on the downbeat. And that is very useful when you're playing some, accompanying some rhythmic patterns in bluegrass and some funk, anything that has a lot of syncopation, a lot of upbeat accents. Um, the basic would be to count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So the and becomes the strong, and your downbeat is the weaker, which gives a sense of you need to move. It's a sense of motion. It's a sense of movement. That's the way I feel. Downbeat would be the numbers. Upbeat would be the end. So here's the exercise. Let's first just say it out loud, and then on the harp again. For the sake of you knowing where you are, I'm going to count the beats that we are not playing, which are the 1 and the 3. So here we go. Fifth exercise. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, taka 2, 3, taka 2, 1, taka 2, 3, taka 2, 1, taka 2. So you realize that the taka comes on the end and the 2 on the second beat. Then the taka comes in the end of the third beat, and the 2, actually, it's a little off there, but it comes right on the fourth beat. So 1, taka 2, 3, taka 4. So here we go. That's how it sounds like. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. Beat. If I go a little faster, it sounds like this. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. It sounds a little pointless, but you understand the reason for that in the next exercise, which is this one. The sixth exercise gives you a feel like you're riding a horse. There's takatu, 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 takatu. It's all because of this. It starts on the upbeat. If I were to spell it, would be 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. Takatu, 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 non-stop. So first slow and then fast. Please don't forget to tap your foot as you're doing this exercise, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. And now a little faster. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And the important part of this exercise is the taka comes on the upbeat. So 1, taka, 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 taka. The next one expands a little bit on that, which if I were to spell it out, it's just a little groove. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Taka tuku taka, taka tuku taka rest, taka tuku taka rest, taka tuku taka rest, taka tuku taka rest, taka tuku taka rest. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. If I were to do it a little faster, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So this is just coming off of starting on the upbeat and starts to give a really nice feel of motion and swing. If it's too fast, you can always shoot me an email at harmonicaforall@gmail.com. And I hope to see you next time with more grooves. Next lesson, a couple more grooves, about 3 or 4 more grooves for you to practice, and some riffs that you can, use when you're trying to accompany a song. And I'll see you next time. Thank you very much for listening. This has been the Harmonica Lessons for All podcast. I'm Matheus Verodino, and thank you very much.